And welcome back to Age of Empires 3 History, as today we're moving on to the town center, which is long, really fucking long, for no fucking reason. It's really long. It's about the longest we had in a year. Game information. Town center is the heart of every colony or village. Gatherers are trained here. Shipments from the tribal council or home city arrive here. The improvements and advance your colony through the ages are here. Town centers provide population spaces or slots for your total population limit. In the Fortress Age, units, which can construct new town centers, become available from the Tribal Council or Home City. Tribal Council provide town travaux to build new town centers, while Home City provides covered wagons and rickshaws to build new town centers. Town travaux, covered wagons, and rickshaws are available in limited numbers. If your town comes under attack, there's a minute button in European town centers that drums up militia for your town's defense. In Asian towns, there are two buttons, one for ranged irregulars and one for melee sentries. In native towns, this defense comes from the alarm dance at the fire pin. Both these measures are for emergencies, only since these fighters aren't meant to be used as regular warriors. There's also a button called the town bell that calls all your gatherers to the town center to hide from attacks. One side, the gatherers fire at attackers nearby. Pressing the town bell button again sends your gatherers back to work. History. During the Qing dynasty beginning in the 17th century, Chinese way of life was undergoing a drastic shift as powerful Manchu rulers of the Qing were conquering and occupying large portions of the Chinese Empire. Manchus faced a challenge in controlling an enormous population, one that hung loud resentment towards foreign rule. Communities were a focal point of the Manchu strategy to win over the populace. Roughly to 80 to 90% of the administrative posts were given to native Han Chinese, while the most powerful positions were reserved for the Manchu tribesmen or Chinese collaborators. The rule of the Manchu brought about extensive agricultural reforms that benefit the peasants of China and stimulated cultivation of the land. That led to vast commercial expansion. As a result, daily life improved, markets and tea houses thrived, storytellers and performers spread aspects of cultural, usually reserved for the elite. At the same time, members of the wealthy class invested their additional income in libraries, gardens, orphanages, medical clinics, and even volunteer firefighting organizations. Peasants and rich alike were enriching their communities. Japan's Sengoku, or Warring States period, occurred between the 15th and 17th century, was a time of seemingly endless conflict. Constant fighting between the nation, nearly on 250 daimyo, or feudal landowners, had created a way of life completely focused on survival. The daimyo was not fighting to defend his land and peasants, he was striving to win the land and peasants of his enemy. What does this have to do with town centers? As daimyo waged war over his region's every resources was channeled into subsistence of his soldiers and maintenance of his campaign, the length of which was always a defining factor. Villagers were sent ahead of marching armies to work the land and provide for the soldiers that followed. If they came under attack, peasants would hurry into hiding into the surrounding countryside or temple and wait out the battle. To form a supply train or konadatai, human and animal porters were sent back and forth into the field of battle to deliver goods, often under the watchful eye of a supply master. Farther from home, an army became, the less likely it would continue, since resource scarcity was actually concerned. It was not uncommon for a daimyo to abandon the campaign and return to his home, only to focus his ambitions and efforts of his vassals on planning for future conflict. During the reign of the Mughal Empire, greatest ruler Akbar's society was organized under a feudal system. Under the emperor, the warrior aristocracy, known as the Mansabdars, held ranks that were based on the size of their personal armies, which then indicated salary and obligation to the government. The Mansabdars were paid from revenues generated from villagers existing specifically for the purpose, called jaggers. Whatever. Anyway, I'll be back next time with the trading post. See you then.